She spent one night with Fizz. Now she says I'm her favourite man. And bro just got a new whack. I ain't got a tool, that's his favourite bang. No potatoes when we grab this mash. All the man them grab his cash. She says I'm her favourite man, and she's got a back, I can work with that. She spent one night with Fizz. Now she says I'm her favourite man. And bro just got a new whack. I ain't got a tool, that's his favourite bang. No potatoes when we grab this mash. All the man them grab his cash.
Memnon, the legendary king of Ethiopia and a forgotten champion, Troy's greatest ally in their battle against the Greeks, and arguably one of the greatest fighters to fight in the Trojan War, second only to Achilles. And you Hector fans can honestly suck it, like fuck you. Memnon deserved that movie, not fucking Achilles. No, I'm just I don't know what I'm even saying, bro. But yeah, Memnon honestly is one of the very few representations that we have of figures associated with Africans in Greek text, Greek mythology, you know, etc. So I really think his story is a really cool one to tell for obvious reasons. Like, I'm a big like Greek fan. Like, there's nothing, honestly, I don't like, what is better than Greek mythology? Like, is there anything that like actually trumps it? I don't think there is. I think Greek mythology is like the greatest thing, like, you know. But anyways, let's go. Now, like most of us, Memnon had parents. His mother was Eos, the Greek god of dawn. She was a dawn goddess. She was associated with the dawn. His father, Tithonus, was a Trojan prince. And the love story between these two is actually pretty interesting. Basically, what happened was that it's actually pretty interesting. Eos, the mother of Memnon, actually found Tithonus so attractive, very attractive, like too attractive, like so attractive that she had actually abducted him and taken him to Ethiopia and fell in love with him. And they had two sons, Memnon and Emon. And Emon is going to be very important. He's not irrelevant to the story. He might be the lesser known brother, or this brother, he's just as important as Memnon. I'll tell you why. Eventually, out of Eos's love for Tithonus, she had asked Zeus to grant Tithonus immortality. And Zeus, being the kind god that he is, the loving man that he is, you know, of course, he granted that wish. But she made one mistake, one very, very brutal mistake. And it's that she forgot to also ask for eternal youth. Like, what type of retard? What type of retard do you have? No, I'm just, please don't. But yeah, she forgot to ask him for eternal youth. And so, man's just grew ugly, bro. Like, you know, he just grew so ugly, she got tired of it. And out of pity, she had turned him into a bug. Like, she literally turned him into a bug just because she didn't, you know, like, out of pity, because, like, I guess she didn't really, you know, like, you're gonna find, like, an aging 10,000-year-old man attractive, like, you know, probably not. And so fast forward into the Trojan War, Paris, the son of Troy, son of Troy, prince of Troy, abducted Helen of Sparta, the wife of Menelaus, who was the king of Sparta, and took her to Troy. And you guys know the deal from there, right? Menelaus, Agamemnon, if you ever watched the movie Troy from back then, basically they get together and they start setting sail for Troy. And they come with, like, everybody. Like, they come deep. They came deep. Like 1,000, 10,000 ships. I don't know how many it was. And they came with killers. They came with the real G's. People like Achilles, Ajax, Odysseus. You know, that's where you get all these crazy not fancy, but like all these crazy epics, you know, of you know, the Trojan War and like in the Odyssey and the Iliad, all this stuff. It all comes from this one offense. A man who couldn't even hold down his own wife, as Achilles said, you know. And so Troy, in one of his darkest moments, realizing how many people they had against them, what was up against them, they started looking for allies. And one of these allies was, who better than the son of a Trojan prince himself, Memnon. They called to Memnon for his aid. And although Memnon did take a while and they had even doubted whether he would come, he finally came, and he came with a massive, great and fierce army of Ethiopians, black people. And you know, it's a big Sudanese flex, you know what I mean? My peoples, you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, I'm a we was whenever, if I feel like we wasn't, I'm a we was, bro. I can we was this, you know? No, I'm joking. You know, he showed up with his army. Memnon was the king of Ethiopia, and so he showed up with his army of Ethiopian kangs. He showed up with his Ethiopian kangs, so you know, gotta give the kangs the credit when the credit is due. And obviously this would have been boosted. One of the reasons why he would have came was obviously because he had very close ties to the Trojan royal family, because his dad was of Trojan royalty. Now, specifically during one of the battles when they were fighting, Patroclus, the cousin, possibly lover, Greeks, what's going on? Why, you know, what's up with the... But yeah, possibly lover, right? He died at the hands of Hector. And then, not too far after, Anticulus, son of Greek king Nestor, was killed by Memnon. And so the Greeks were down bad. The Greeks were down too. They were down too. Memnon and Hector were causing these people havoc. They were destroying these people. Like they were like raping these please believe that word. They were giving these people hell. And so Nestor, wanting to avenge his son, wanted to fight Memnon, but Memnon, being the courageous, noble, honorable man that he was, he didn't want to fight an old man. And so because of this, Nestor had gotten Achilles, the man Achilles, the man, the myth, the legend, Achilles, to go and take care of the Memnon problem. If you know how the story goes, you know that Achilles kills Memnon and Hector. Now, I don't really know in which order that it happens, but I'm gonna tell you about the battle that Achilles had with Memnon, because I think it was probably even better. I haven't actually read about the one with Hector, so like if you're a Hector fan, again, suck it, fuck you. This is the Africa time, okay? This is the Ethiopia time, all right? No, I'm joking. I feel like I'm gonna piss a bunch of people off, you know? Forgive me. So now, one thing about this war and a lot of these battles is that the Greek gods had played a lot of hands inside of the battles. And so this is kind of illustrated here when you can kind of see this here where Achilles and Memnon are about to fight and Zeus favors both of them. He favors both of them. So what he does to enhance these people, right, both Achilles and Memnon, is that he turns them into giants and he makes each of them tireless. And they are both wearing armor that were made by the crafty hands of Hephaestus. I hope I said the name right. Basically, these guys had that drip on. These guys had that stuff on, right? And as they were fighting, everybody was watching. Everything was still. Memnon did manage to strike Achilles and seriously wound him. But Achilles was able to come back and strike Memnon in the chest. And Memnon had died on the battlefield. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. And that is what Memnon did. Achilles would meet the same fate pretty soon. And his army of Ethiopians, they ran, bro. I was like, yo, we're out of here, bro. They were gone, bro. They left. They ran in terror. They were horrified. There it was, their leader, killed on the battlefield. They didn't know what to do. And after Memnon was killed at the hands of Achilles, his mother, you know how moms are, right? His mother cried so much. She had mourned so much of his death. And after this, I don't really know exactly what happened specifically, and I'll tell you the reason why. So the main narrative is that after he dies, he was granted immortality by Zeus because his mother cried so much and mourned so much that Zeus was like, fuck it, we'll give it to her, right? When I actually looked at the text, there was a little bit more of a poetic kind of conclusion to the story, if that's how if that's the best way I can put it. So in the version that I read, I don't remember, it was from the book The Fall of Troy. Obviously this is a translated version. His comrades were turned into birds, which would somehow allow them to mourn their king forever, for eternity. And his body was carried to a river where it was honored with a burial. And then nymphs and other divine beings would participate in elimination. I don't even know what that word means, but it's on my script, so we'll find. I'm just gonna expose myself, I just learned about this recently. Basically, what it's getting at is that he almost existed in other ways, that kind of, like in other symbolic ways, where it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not like he's literally like immortal, but it's almost like he's living through, you know what I mean, like other things, if that makes sense, like through other more symbolic things. So yeah, but now that we got his story out the way, now we know what he basically was doing, what life was like for him. There's still one problem. How is he associated with Ethiopia, with black people? How does he become a king of Ethiopia? His father is a Trojan and his mother is a Greek goddess. Well, I don't know if I've explained this already in the video or if I mentioned this, but I think his mother is most likely the anchoring solution. Now, although EOS does have origins in like more Indo-European like languages, so it's like associated with like, Indo-European goddesses or whatever, since she is a dawn goddess, basically what the Greeks had thought was that she came from the edge of the world where the sun would dawn, which at the time they thought was Ethiopia, which would actually make sense considering that in the legend it goes that Tithonus was abducted to Ethiopia by Eos, the mother. And so essentially, the very best, if you can't say that Eos was an Ethiopian, I don't know if she was or if she would be considered, but he at least has like a land right to like Ethiopia. And it is generally like, I did generally see like in a lot of later texts, like his association with Ethiopia becomes more like people start to refer to him as a black man. Although in the original text, they don't really refer to him as an Ethiopian himself, but they always refer to him as the king of the Ethiopians, which is pretty interesting. But then again, like there's a lot of like the ancient depictions where people basically say like this is likely Memnon and they paint him to look like an Ethiopian. So it's a very like weird topic. And to go move back to his brother Emon, who I said was, just as important to the story because it explains how Memnon became a king of Ethiopia. So basically, Emon, the brother of Memnon, was actually the original king of Ethiopia before Memnon was. What happened was that while Hercules comes into the story, while Hercules was carrying out his 11th labor, which was to collect the apple of Hesperides, something. We'll leave the label up here. We'll leave the word, right? The apple of something. And on his journey there, he was traveling eastward. He came onto Emethian's land. Now it is weird though, because the texts do say whether there are some texts that say he was king of Arabia or king of Ethiopia. But since he was the brother of Memnon, and Memnon inherited the throne after him, you get what I mean? It probably more likely to say that he was the king of Ethiopia rather than Arabia, just because it'd make more sense and it coincide with like everything else. But basically, Hercules came onto Emethian's lands. Emethian, they're not really clear about how the interaction went, but basically it's assumed that Emethian attacked him while he was on his lands and Hercules had to kill him and end him. And so yeah, and that's basically how Memnon became king of Ethiopia. So personally, I'm not gonna lie to you, yeah? Like I feel like this story though, it deserved its own Netflix movie rather than the counterfeit Troy. You know, like look, I mentioned this in other videos. I'm still pissed. Netflix is confusing to me, honestly. Like I love like Netflix definitely has some good shows for like black people, but for history they always seem to flop, and I don't know why. Like why not make videos on like actual people who are like actually like associated with like black people, like a movie on like I know this is like overplayed, but like a movie on like Mansa Musa or like Taharqa. Like there's been a Ghanaian survey talking about his military conquests and whatever in the Middle East and Europe, and someone like Memnon, that would kill. Like that would do so well because there's so many black people who actually want to see it. But then number two, like it's actually true, so like you can actually claim it and nobody can say nothing. But it's just my personal opinion at the end of the day. But yeah, if you are interested in learning more about African history, whatever, check the links below. I run free communities. I run multiple communities that are all dedicated towards learning about African history, and I should be making a sort of course for this. Don't know if it's gonna be free, but if it, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, basically it's gonna be like a collection of videos based on the research that I did, where I'm gonna show the sources that I've looked at and like discuss it in more detail. Obviously, like maybe in like a more like serious manner than this. Like this is just a goofy video. But anyways, with that being said, hope you enjoyed. Peace. Subscribe because we need it, bro. And double bicep flex.